We're not working yet. Good morning. Let's hear a really pleasant good morning. Good morning. Thank you. I would like you to join me in welcoming these 4 singers from the Vermont Symphony Orchestra's outreach program. They will tell you all you need to know about them. I'm sure you already know what a cappella means. 5th graders. So without any further, we thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much. We are a cappella. And I wonder if anyone in our audience knows the definition of the musical term a cappella. Yes, in the Bruins room. It means we only use our voices. We don't have a band behind us. No one's at the piano. We just use the instruments that we were born with. And because we're from the Vermont Symphony, we thought a good way to demonstrate to you what our instruments are like is to actually compare them to instruments you might see in the symphony. So I'll start that by introducing my friend Claire. She's the soprano of the group, and the soprano voice is the highest of all 4 voice parts, and it's the higher of the 2 women's voice parts. And we think that Claire's soprano voice sounds a lot like a violin.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce my friend Melissa. Melissa is the alto of the group. She's the lower of the 2 women's voices. And we liken Melissa's voice to the clarinet in the orchestra.
Next up, we have our friend Cameron. He is the tenor in our group, and the tenor voice is the higher of the 2 men's voices, and we liken it to an instrument, a brass instrument that is high in the orchestra or the band. Anybody got a guess? Orange shirt. Did you?
Trumpet goes trumpet, trumpet goes trumpet.
Thank you very much. And now, may I introduce to you the bass of our quartet. His name is Kevin, and the bass voice is the lowest of all four voices, and the bass voice is the lower of the two men's voices. And we think that Kevin's bass voice sounds obscure, kind of like a bass instrument that you probably don't know of called the bassoon.
So if you haven't seen a bassoon before, it's a long tube, and the tube is folded. If it wasn't folded, if it didn't have a bend, it would reach higher than I can reach with my hand. It's almost 18 feet long, almost to those lights. But it's bent in half, and the player sits, and they have a little reed that goes out of a pipe into the bigger pipe, and then they play it. The bassoon, it makes a point of counterpoint. Da 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 da. Bassoon, it makes a point of counterpoint. Da 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 da.
So now we'll put our four instruments together. Thank you very much. So I know that you recognize the first song we sang today, even if you don't want to admit it. That was from the movie Frozen, and that song, all the music from that movie, is what you would call popular music because it's relevant, it happened very recently, and we're going to stay in the theme of popular music, but we're going to go back in time, about 100 years ago, to when the popular music of that era was jazz. Anybody know jazz music? Right, so there's a kind of singing that's special to jazz music where, kind of like what we just did, trying to sound like instruments, a jazz vocalist will actually make noises to sound like a clarinet or to sound like a trumpet. And in jazz singing, that is called scat. And this song has some scat in it, and Claire will do a lot of scat. And the song is called Jada Jada Jing Jing Jing. Anyone know what that means? No, I hope you don't, because it doesn't mean anything. But it's fun to sing.
You've heard all about the melody, everything from opera down to harmony. But I will live something that I'll sing to. It's gonna weave you through and through. There ain't much to the words, but the music is grand. You'll be a singing to beat the band. Do the task it is true. But give it all, listen to this, will you? Jada, 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 jing, jing, jing. Oh yes, it's Jada, 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 jing, jing, jing. Do, 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 that's a funny little melody. Oh, you love it so smooth and I feel the way it goes. Jada, 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 jing, jing, jing. Do up. Jada, jada, jing, jing, jing. Jada, 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 jing. Jada, jada, jing, jing. Jada,
music room of a school, and it said, music is what feelings sound like. Think about that. We're gonna, in our next piece of music, which was written even further back in time, we're like 400, 450 years ago, we're gonna sing a piece that's just gonna, and we're gonna invite you to close your eyes and imagine what's going on as we sing our individual lines. This piece was written about the time of Shakespeare, if you can picture that, okay? Funny clothes, funny hair. And this piece is written in Latin, not English, and it was written to be sung in a church. So put yourself in your mind into a big, 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 huge stone cathedral, a huge church. Picture stained glass windows, and close your eyes and follow each of our voices and see what pictures come into your mind.
Rather quiet, rather peaceful, I would say. And as Melissa said, it was written for the church, so you wouldn't expect to have anything back in the day. You wouldn't expect to have anything where you're going to jump around, jump off your seats. Although some churches do that now, but back then they did not. So we are going to stay in that same time frame, and written about 400, 450 years ago. Totally different kind of song. This song was written for fun. So sometimes people would get together at their friends' homes, and since there was no electricity, so no televisions, no computers, or any of that fun stuff we have today, and they would make up songs. They'd make up songs about the birds, the bees, the trees, or love, or chickens. And what they would do is they would put in funny syllables. They'd take out words, put in funny syllables. Kind of like around holiday time, you sing Deck the Hall, and you sing fa la 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 la. What the heck's that mean? Who knows? So that kind of song is called a madrigal, where they take out words and they put in funny sounding syllables. So like I said, sometimes songs are about chickens. And this song is about a chicken. This chicken lays an egg. They take the egg to the baker, And the baker makes pies and cakes and puts frosting on it, and everybody's like, oh, I can't wait to eat that. And I know in this song, you are going to hear the chicken cackle.
So I have a question for you. Would you raise your hand if you happen to be a big fan of hip hop? Quite a few, more than half. So we've been all over the world. We've sung all different kinds of music. We've sung in different languages. We've sung just now a song that takes the language out and replaces the words with funny syllables. After all of that search, I think we have found what may be the oldest piece of music that instead of being sung like rap, it is spoken. So in rap, instead of singing notes, the vocalist talks on rhythm. So this particular piece, the composer, I think, had traveled all over the world and he found all of these different place names. Rivers, mountains, cities, countries, and a lot of them have kind of funny sounds. Right here in the United States, one of the rivers you'll hear us sing about is the Mississippi. Mississippi. Lots of syllables going on in there, right? So our next piece is we're going to take all of these different place names and we're going to put them together, but instead of singing it, we're going to speak it. Are you ready?
Boys and girls, I just want to tell you that that piece we just did is the hardest piece that we have to do. Because although we don't have any melodic notes, the notes that let us sing whatever note we have rhythmic notes, which make us count like crazy, so that we all come in where we're supposed to come in, and that we all land in Trinidad together at the end. The other thing that goes on with this piece is that there's something called dynamic markings. Dynamic markings are what the composer puts in the piece to bring out other parts. So, because even though we always think our own part is the most special and the most important, it isn't. Everybody else's parts are equally as important. So, there's little markings called dynamic markings, and they tell you when to go softly. They tell you when to go normal, or they tell you when to go loud. So, didn't want to scream that one into the microphone.
So, we were just all around the world with Trinidad and Popocatépetl. And now we are going to travel to South Africa. And we are going to invite you all to sing this song, which originates from a village of the... Claire?
Hossa.
So click and then say Hossa, Hossa, Hossa. Yeah. Thank you. So what this song is about, the menfolk have left our village. You'll be able to click in just a second. The menfolk have left the village, and they are gone out to bring us the food so we can have a feast. And we're going to sing a song that celebrates the return of our hunters. So the song is in 3 parts. If you have a lower voice, the first part is going to go like this. Awe, awe, somangwaza. Okay, listen. Listen. Who wants to try that? Good. 1, 2, go. Awe, awe, somangwaza. Again. Awe, awe, somangwaza. Good. The middle part is somangwaza man yowe, yowe. Somangwaza man yowe. Do that again. Who wants to sing that? Sing it with Claire and me. Ready? Somangwaza Yahweh, Yahweh. Again. Somangwaza Yahweh, Yahweh. One more time. Somangwaza Yahweh, Yahweh. Excellent. Then there's a third part that goes on top of that. It goes. So now you've heard all 3 parts. Kevin will be singing, Awe, Awe, Somangwaza. So look to him, he's going to start us. Then we'll bring in the middle part, Somangwaza Manyu, and you'll see when that is. And then Cameron will lead the third part in. Okay? You ready? 2, 3. Awe, Awe, Somangwaza. Sing it. Awe, good. Awe, Somangwaza, 1 and go. Awe, Awe, Somangwaza, man Yahweh, Yahweh. Somangwaza, man Yahweh, Yahweh. Somangwaza, man Yahweh. Nice job.
So now we've been all over the world. We've been all across time. But we're going to bring it home for a second and sing to you our state song, which is called These Green Mountains. Some of you might recognize this song, and if you do and you want to sing along with us, follow along with Claire. A little known fact, Vermont didn't actually have a state song for a really long time. And so the state legislature, the governing body, decided they would have a contest. And a bunch of people got together and they all wrote songs that they thought best reflected Vermont or living in Vermont. And they ended up picking a song with words that were written by a letter carrier and music written by a friend of hers. So this is These Green Mountains. Thank you very much. Didn't that song make you feel really good to live in the state of Vermont? The answer I was hoping for was yes. Because music can do that. Music can tell stories, it can share thoughts, it can share feelings, and it's something that everyone's culture everywhere, anywhere across the planet does, music. This next song is actually written just for fun, though. It's written about a sport. I know some of you play sports in here, probably. And I'm not going to tell you what the sport is that the song is about, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the song or really anything else about it, except for some really technical information. Because I know when we start to sing it all together, you're going to recognize it. And when you do, if you want to sing along with us, please do. But the person who decided what notes each of us was going to sing and when we would sing those notes is called an arranger. And the arranger of this piece of music put into the song a joke. He put in a musical joke where we sing like a group of people who don't know what the right notes are. And if I hadn't told you that, you would think something was going seriously wrong later in this piece. So we give you one clue as to what the song is about.
Thank you very much. So that was kind of a fun song. Go Red Sox. Go Bruins. Okay, so one thing that we noticed about all of you when you walked into this room and sat in your chairs, we noticed that each and every one of you is different from each and every one of you. You're all different, you're all unique in your own way, and that is a beautiful thing, boys and girls. That's what makes our world a great place. Everybody's different, everybody has something really cool and unique to bring to the world. Sometimes, somebody gets it in their head that they don't like the fact that you're different from they are. And so they might bully or pick on other people. And that's just not cool at all. This song talks about that a little bit. And it says, don't laugh at me. Don't call me names. And please don't get your pleasure from my pain. Hi. So before we sing our last piece, we want to know if any of you have any questions that you would like to ask of us. And it doesn't matter what it is, you can ask us and we'll try to answer. Right here in the pink. Oh, how did we travel around the world? So that's a really great question, but to be honest, we didn't really do all the traveling, although some of us have really traveled around, not around the world, but we've traveled to faraway places. by airplane. But when we were looking up music and we were looking for these pieces, we did all our traveling via the internet. So we looked up all kinds of stuff on Google. And our imaginations as well.
Yep. Who else? Who has a question? Let's see. Way in the back, in the pink. Do you have a question? Okay. Right in front of you. Yes, in the blue. What's your question? Great. That's fabulous. That is fabulous. How about over here? Yes. So this group has been together for over 20 years. But Claire is one of the founding members of A Cappella, and the rest of us, we all met each other singing. The VSO has been sending this group to schools for over 20 years, but we four people have been singing together in this group for just over 2 years now. Next up.
All the way in the back. He forgot. Okay. How about you, young man with the striped shirt? When did we meet? That's a really good question. So there's only 4 of us here today, but at one time or another, we've sung in a larger group with maybe 4 times as many people, and sometimes we've sung an even larger group with about with the Vermont Symphony Chorus, which is about 20 times bigger than this group. And we've actually made some of the best friends that we have in life through singing, like this guy. He's one of my best friends. And I wouldn't have known him if it weren't for singing. We would never have met because my hair's not as long as his, my glasses aren't as small, so many differences. But we have time for one more question.
We can do one more. And you over here, you in the pink shirt, you've had your hand up right from the very beginning. How did it feel when we first met? So, I want to bring that back to music again. So there's a really interesting thing that music does. How many people in the room, can you put your hand up if you sing? Could be at any time, at home or at school. Could be when you're alone or with other people. Yeah, lots of us. So there's something that happens when you sing. I think for everyone that sings, they experience this, is that your heart opens up a little bit. And you are able to meet someone and you're become their friend immediately, almost right away. In fact, sometimes when I'm meeting someone new for the very first time, I will sing my hello to them on purpose, because it allows them to see me in a way that just saying, oh, hi, doesn't necessarily do. But if I say something like, hello, they see me in a whole different way, right? Or if I'm feeling shy, I might say, hello. They're going to see me in a whole different way. All right. So we have one more song that we're going to end with. You're really going to like this one. And we'll have Claire give some thanks. We'll wait for you. Can you focus again? We'll have Claire give some thanks, and then she's going to tell you a little bit about our last song.
Thank you, Kevin. So boys and girls, can we just have your attention for 1 minute, please? Thank you very much. Just we're almost done. But before we sing our last song, we really do need to thank some people. First and foremost, we need to thank your teachers and your school, your principal, for letting us come into the building today to present this program for you. It's really awesome that they've allowed you to have that time, especially because yesterday you did have a snow day. So they have lots to make up. So we were really appreciative of that. So we also would like to thank the Upper Valley Friends of the Vermont Symphony Orchestra, because they allowed us, they funded the whole day for us today, which is really awesome. So let's give your teacher, your schools, and Upper Valley Friends of the Vermont Symphony a great big round of applause. And then we would like to thank you as our audience. It's really difficult for live performers to perform in front of audiences that are squirmy, wormy, laughing, talking, blah, 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 doing all that stuff. You did none of that today. Give yourselves a great big round of applause because it makes us better performers for you. Thank you very much. And so the last song that we're going to sing today comes from the African American spiritual tradition, and it is Black History Month this month. Thank you, Melissa, for reminding me. This piece was arranged. Remember, Cameron talked about arrangements. This piece was arranged by a very dear friend of ours, Robert DeCormier, who founded the Vermont Symphony Orchestra Chorus, and also founded another group called Counterpoint, of which we have all been, some are still members, and I am a past member. And he arranged this piece. It's called Hold On, and it paints a picture of a farmer in a field who has a plow, and there's a horse pulling the plow, and he has to hold on really, really tight to the plow because, of course, he didn't have a big old tractor like they have today. And he has to hold on really, 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 really tight so if the plow hits a rock, the plow doesn't go flying, and then the donkey or the horse goes running. So it really, if you ever think that you're having a really, really difficult time, think of the farmer in the field and hold on. Thank you very much. I forgot to say to you, if anybody has a question, a burning question that you're just dying to ask us, you can come up and ask us as long as your teacher says it's okay.
Can we have one more round of applause for our guests? Thank you once again to the VSO, to Ms. Casano for helping to arrange this visit. Thank you for traveling all from points of Vermont to be here. I'm going to ask everyone to please stay in their seats except the people with an 11:15.